I can feel it. Hey, welcome to another episode of Addie's Podcast. Gonna have some great guests today. Got a good topic. Just talking about military life, civilian life. It's all the same. You just living. Got some great guests in the career counsel field, recruiting side, and the actual career counsel side. They'll introduce themselves and talk about themselves, and we're gonna have fun like we normally do. Something that we want to piggyback on from last time we met. AP spoke about not sure what he want to do when he retired. Right. But as I was telling people, when you put that time in and your money is right, you can just enjoy life without even working another day again. But you can't do that in your 20s. We don't think about that. So last week, B doing a thing out there in Hampton. It's a give back thing. And it's trying to encourage those young people to stay on the right track. How did that go?
Oh man, shoot. Shout out to Frontline Millionaires University. So organization is huge, has big vision on bringing everything in unison, community, and a collaborative effort. So we had so many vendors. We had special guest speakers coming out. And we saw some kids and pretty much families just light up from the things that we were able to give away due to everybody playing a role contributing. So digs by digs, we were able to give away like 150 pair of shoes last week, book bags, so many different vendors, but it was just the start of a beautiful thing. We want to continue to rope my military family. Like, I know a lot of people aren't from the area, but as long as you're here, I'm calling y'all family. Like,
oh yeah,
this is home too.
Yeah.
Like,
okay.
It's too much dissension, and we got to create a centralized location to where we got to make it real for people. So we could bring all that together, one big melting pot. But the event, total success, and we gonna keep on building on it.
That's good. Man. That's good, because them young men and women that were out there that day, they're going to transition to the military.
Oh yeah,
they're going to transition to the military. So we got recruiters, that can speak about what are y'all actually talking to the youth, the young people that's in high school right now that's willing to join, not sure about joining. A lot of us, well, my mom and my dad served, and I want to serve with them right now. Those type of opportunities. But the outside world has a lot to offer. Amazon saying you can go to school, all you got to do is be with them for 3 months. You can start going to school. How does the military compete with that? Although we have other benefits, but how do we compete with that? So from y'all perspective, what have y'all heard?
Well, let's say this. Amazon is actually...
I'm sorry, introduce yourself.
Oh, I'm sorry. My name's Ashley. I've been in the Navy for 19 years. I'm just hit 19, and I'm on the recruiting side. So I was aviation boatswain main handler before, and then I converted over to, as they say, the dark side, the NC community. Right. Went recruiting in 2019, right in the beginning of the height of the pandemic. Fell in love with it, and that's what sparked me to convert, right? But Amazon's a good point. I actually just put in a nuclear engineer. Right now, nuclear engineers are getting $75,000 just to join. He was working at Amazon. Dad's Navy wasn't on his radar, but he did a couple swipes wrong with their clock in, clock out process, and now he's fired. So now he at home on Dad's couch, and they like, hey, now he's a nuke, right? $75K, great opportunity for him. So things like that. When they're getting out, of course, the world is yielding towards the different streams of but everybody's not going to be able to follow the same path. Is it trending now? What's the longevity in it? Average retirement is how old in the civilian sector? 65. Yeah. And we'll be roughly 38, 39 when we retire. That's already a selling point. Yeah. And you 18, 19 years old with $75K, Amazon didn't give you that design on. So that changed the dynamics a little bit for that young man. So you went from being laid off, $75,000 starting off. So that was a big plus for him.
Oh, wow. What experience did you have seen with it?
Hi, I'm Kiana. I've been in the Navy for 9 years. I'm actually a machinist mate. So I'm going back to the fleet. I was going to convert, still kind of iffy, but I do love to recruit.
Okay.
I work in kind of a rougher area out here in Newport News. So my take is kind of different from hers. Especially with the school that I have. They're in a rough area and they're looking for an out. And a lot of the teachers at the school they want to help them out. They want to see these kids win, and I push that too because the whole point of me coming recruiting was my recruiter saved my life, so I want to be that change in someone else.
Okay.
So I adore the students. They might have, rough backgrounds, but they didn't choose to be here. This is the life that they was dealt. So I try to steer them in a different path. Try to get them to understand, like, I see, like, what your friends or what your family or the things that you've been through is doing to you. You don't know which way to go, and you can't afford college or anything like that, and your family doesn't come from money. So here is another way for you to still go to school or still ascertain some type of dream that you didn't ever even think of for yourself. And so I kind of push those students and help them with their ASVAB. I go to the after-school programs and stuff like that to show them that also, I'm a recruiter and I do need a number, but you're more than a number to me. Like, I actually care about you, and I care about seeing everyone's success. So I'm more in the community side of recruiting instead of just looking for like a number, which gives me my numbers. So I don't really be like stressing, like, oh, I need somebody. I really don't care.
Right.
My job is to just help you. That's how I see it. It's to help you. So you help me, helping you is helping me, and we helping the community. So I love it.
So
And
you're
go ahead.
being like, they're being receptive of what you're
Yes,
doing.
because I also tell them like my story because a lot of them think like, we're not regular people. I'm regular. I dress regular. I'm a girly girl. I like to go out. Like, I'm a regular person just like everybody else. I also do my job and I do it well. Yeah. And I let them see like it's two different sides. Like on my Instagram, you'll see me like in regular civilian clothes, but then you'll also see the Navy side of me because I want them to understand like, you have a life outside of the military. Like, you're still you and be you, even when you're in the military. But just make sure, like, you're doing the things to set your future self up. Right. That's something else I say. I'd be like, don't mess up yourself right now by doing just predatory, minuscule things. Make sure you're setting yourself up for the next things that you want to do in life.
Right. That's deep. Because I guess my generation, we was just always just working. And we still having fun, but it wasn't, like, visual. It wasn't visual. Like, you see a couple of pictures, but not the way it is now. And see, you being young and doing it is even great because you understand them. They understand you. They can relate to you. Somebody like me, I'm telling them something different. I'm trying to sell it to them, but my taxes is like, nah, bro, we're not into that. We about living. Like, I'm really talking about I'm being flued out or something like that. Like, whatever. I ain't speaking that terminology. Right. You know what I'm saying? So they need young people to recruit young people. To meet them at their level. And then the story that you're telling is like, it's so profound. It's like, yeah, you've been there. I understand. I'm here with you. So it makes a difference. So thank you for doing what you do.
I think it's the thing. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
It's being relatable too. Allowing them to see that, like you said, we're still ourselves too, and they can see them, and you don't have to change who you are.
That's most important. You can be you 24/7. Yeah.
So I think that language gap. So the gap we're talking about is things that we know because we were just in the mix, and like everything is so readily available to them through the visuals now. So I think us being here, we got to be able to spell out the same language so that they can speak it to them. I think a big takeaway from why they should join the Navy is because you create real family outside of family. Like look at everybody in this room right now. That's our common thread, and we moving. Let's just be real. We moving at a higher level, and it's not. Let me rephrase that. We moving on a different plane. Like we in unison. Doing something collectively, collaboratively. And I think the thing that the language that is missing in today's with the youth is teamwork. They don't really have an understanding of teamwork because everything is pushed on them on an individual basis. Right. But what we're doing right now, working as a unit, we just talking over it because we indoctrinated, we in it. Right. But out here in the world, they don't get to see this. They don't get to see somebody who really, I want to just do this to help you because I want to help you. Right. That's foreign language. Yeah. It's like, if it's not serving me, why I'm doing this?
What's my purpose?
So we got to be out there and like showing you doing a hell of a job. I know where you at. I'm from Newport News. I'm from the schools you speaking of. So I'm definitely gonna get in tune with you after this, and we gonna make some stuff shake. But I understand your passion. I know where it's coming from, and they feeling it, and that's why they coming to you. But we're now on the platform where we can serve more people when we give them this direct language and not expect them to just understand it because we do. They not getting it every day. So that's our job now.
Because I think when you sell you're ultimately selling the Navy as an ambassador. So we really don't have to go out there and be like, oh, Navy this, Navy that. They see us and they're like, well, I want to be what they doing. I want to be a part of that. So that good representation matters.
Yeah.
Yeah. What we do, where we go matters. It's all through social media now.
Yeah.
So they get to see, like, you probably selling a recruiter thing. Oh, you can follow me on whatever. And they see it like, oh, wow, they really having a good time.
Scan your QR
You know,
code.
right.
I was like, oh, how'd you get my number? I scanned your code. I saw your card. I was like,
See, that's advanced.
technology, right? Yeah.
That's advanced. Yeah, that's advanced. So, Manny, how do you keep them in?
Ooh, that's a good question. So
How do you keep them in from that
I'm
side of
Manny.
career? Yeah, from that side of career counseling.
all right, so
How
I'm
do you keep 'em
Minnie.
in?
I've been in actually just hit my 17-year mark. So I've been in 17 years, and just like you said earlier, when I came in, it was the same thing. It was just like I did it to get away from where I was at. I did it to create something better. But like once they're in, it's maintaining that. But then you have recruiters like you guys who are like, hey, my recruiter didn't lie to me. They didn't sell me this drink. It's all about the dream that they sell. So as long as they're being sold something or being showed something, not even as far as like selling a dream, but it's about showing them like, hey, you've been in 4 years. You don't like what you're doing? You know what? Let me help you. Let me show you what you could do. Even as far as you like with converting, right? You don't want to convert right now. I've had different rates, and when I first converted, that was one of my driving factors. I'm a helper. I hate seeing people in the struggle. Someone helped me out. I want to help as many people as I can, because at the end of the day, like we're people outside of the uniform.
So what
Like,
was your rate prior?
So before this, I was a bosun. So
wow.
I was in the trenches.
Oh yeah.
All the haze grade. it was everywhere. And I remember that. And I look back to when I was a junior sailor, like I didn't have those people when I was growing. It was about you gonna do what I tell you to do, no questions asked, no nothing. And I feel like now we're in a generation where we've become more relatable. We house that family dynamic. I've had people I brought in junior sailors. I'm like, you're family now, like you're my child. I was the boat mom, you know what I mean? So I have those sailors. So I'm like, I want to see you do better. You don't believe in yourself, I believe in you. Let me show you how I believe in you. You see this SRB chart? The more you re-enlist for, the more money you're gonna get. How do you want to benefit yourself? What are your goals? If they don't align with staying in, then that's fine. You know, ultimately, like it's based on what your goals are. And I feel like for me, because I got an REA or whatever, a couple of them. But for me, that was one of my things. I wasn't a used car salesman. I wasn't trying to sell them something that really wasn't there. I'm like, hey, you don't like being a MM? You don't like being a ABH? You know what? There's different dynamics in there. Oh, you did this so you can get out? Well, hey, let's keep you in. What are your interests? What do you like? How do things align with what you want to do? Oh, you don't have the ASVAB work? Look, I got you. I got books.
Wow.
I have the resources online. And if I don't have it, I'm very much for reaching out. I'm very much like, I know somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody. So I'm like, let me link you up. Let me provide you with that information. So I feel like now it does become a little harder because you have companies like Amazon. You have companies like, what is that? Like all the yard companies.
Yeah, the shipyard
Especially
companies.
the shipyard companies are catching these sailors as they fall.
Right.
They're like, oh, you don't like your toxic leadership? Come on.
Right.
we got the same benefits,
Same
different pay,
benefits.
and you don't got to put in leave, or you're not on duty. It's those type of things. But it's all like for me, like I grew up in Chicago. My first duty station was Hawaii. I didn't know what Hawaii was.
Yeah.
I was like, what is this?
Right.
For me, I was so ignorant to all of it. And I share that story so much. I'm like, look, my first duty station was this. I never thought I would have the things that I have now, or being able to provide my children with those things that I liked as a child also. So it's about creating those experiences, not only for you, for your future, for your kids, for your family. Like it's about creating that community within where you're at. So like every duty station I've gone to, I always make my little family.
Yeah.
You don't have a supportive family, you're far away from home. Come on, come to my house. I'll cook for you. I'm a big cook. So I'm like, you hungry?
Yeah.
What? Come on.
Yeah.
So that's how I like for me as a career counselor, like, because it is something you have to be passionate about.
Yeah.
If you're not passionate about it, you're showing up to show up, and who are you really helping at the end of the day?
Dang. How was it going to Hawaii? Like leaving Chicago? How old were you?
So I was 19 years old.
Yeah.
The first time I stepped off the plane, I got to Hawaii, checked in December. I left O'Hare International Airport. It was negative 13 degrees. I got off the plane. It was 87 degrees. The humidity was thick. I was like, why am I wearing a hoodie and jogging pants? And the first thing they asked was like, did you get laid? I'm like, excuse me? I just got here. They're like, no, with the flowers. I'm like, oh. I'm like, what's that? But every time. But just being there, like my first ship was a destroyer, and I did not know what I was in for as a BMSN. Soon as I got there, they're like, oh, hey, welcome aboard. Here's this paintbrush. Go start painting. And I'm like, okay.
You know something about a bosun mate? I mean, they got some dirtbag bosun mates.
Man.
But if you meet one, you just give them ultimate respect.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
I don't know how that happens though.
Oh, you know how.
If you meet a bosun mate, you just, I was a bosun mate, you like, oh, it's just like a different person.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, that was work.
They are.
That was work. But I asked you that about going to Hawaii. I was in the same situation. My first duty station was Hawaii. And I didn't want to go because I was like, that's too far from home. That's too far from home. But I had a blast.
See, and for me, I was like, this might not be far enough. I
Oh,
was like,
wow.
can we? But for
Yeah.
me, like I joined under the princess. I was like, I need to get away.
Yeah.
I needed to expand my horizons and be like, like my recruiter unfortunately wasn't as good as like you two are. So back then recruiting was like, hey, you come in, they told me I was gonna be a supervisor. The only thing I was supervising was the paint from the bucket to the bulkhead. That's it.
Okay, yeah.
But I was under the impression, I was like, I'm going to get here and I'm going to be like some admin type person. No, I was outside sweating, but it was one of those things where you acclimate to it. And I remember as soon as I got there, it was maybe like 2 months later, we went on a deployment. I visited places that I never even thought I would be able to see besides pictures.
So you came in a bosun mate, or
I came in a
so
bosun mate. No
deck seaman,
no
you know,
deck seaman, no
just straight
undesignated. They were
bosun
like,
mate.
you're a
bosun mate.
BMSN. And I got there, and the older bosun mates are like, you weren't undez. And I was like, I don't even know what that is.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
it was as soon, and I remember as soon as I made BM3, it was this weird shift where it was like, oh, she got it. Because
Right.
bosun mate, it's a male dominated rate. Not only is it male dominated, it's hard to advance. And the minute I made BM3, I was like, I did something with my life. Look at me. And I would look back at, even on like holiday leave, there were a couple times where I opted to just stay in Hawaii because I'm like, I live here. Like, I
Exactly.
live here.
Right.
Why do I want to go back home in the cold and
Yeah.
like try to figure out or fit into where everybody else was doing when. And I started noticing this, like the older I became, like I no longer fell into the same caliber as my peers that I went to school with, because we had different goals. We had different outlooks. And I try to explain that now to a lot of the junior sailors, because they come in and they have this mindset where they're like, oh, I'm just going to do this for a couple of years. Okay, but what are you going to do afterwards? What are your goals afterwards? How does, like, this isn't forever. So like, what's next? Do you have an idea? Oh, well, my friend's cousin has this, but what are they doing right now? Well, they're not doing anything. So how are they going to help you if they're not in a position to help themselves?
I mean, as a matter of fact, it seems like all three of y'all is in some you were AB, that's male dominated. You say you're an MM, that's male dominated.
Yeah.
Like that's crazy within itself. You know what I mean? So, okay, when did you decide, like, I don't, and this is for both of y'all, right? You was an aviation. When did you decide, like, hey, I don't want to do that no more. I would rather be a recruiter. And same question for you. I don't want to be a BM no more. I want to be an NC.
I think when I went recruiting and I saw me change someone's life, like in terms of them joining was complete life changer for them. Then not that you don't have purpose as an AB, but that purpose changed and it felt different.
Right.
And I liked the way that purpose felt. I felt like I was a part of something greater. Again, not like we want to, you know, the ABs, I don't coming from. But I just felt like I was really doing a life of service, not just within the Navy itself, but in the civilian sector. So in that moment, I was like, this might be where I'm supposed to be.
Mm.
So
Yeah. It feels like it gives you a different sense of purpose.
yeah.
So for me,
Like,
I converted. Yeah, I converted on a pregnancy tour.
Oh, wow.
So I wasn't even.
How long had you been in though?
I had been in 12 years.
But and for
So-
you, how long?
Oh, this was my math don't math well, but I went recruiting 2019. I
Okay.
converted in 20. So I just converted like 2 years ago, and I
Okay,
just hit 19
okay.
years ago.
So
So
you was
22.
past the halfway and
way past.
okay, and you said what again?
I was at it 12 years.
12 years.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
12 years, and it was one of those things like you when you sit there and you help somebody and you see their reaction, and it's sad even hearing some of the stories of like I've had sailors come in, they're like, no one's ever helped me like this, no one's given me the time of day like this, and I'm like, what? Like that hurt. Like it hurts seeing these kids feel like no one cares,
Or the I'm homeless, or
Or-
even the hey, I was just praying for a sign. It's so crazy you called me. I was like, not the Lord sent me, so I'm really I was like, all right, send me, I'll go. God, here I am.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And you don't think you like you finna hold it down.
She coming over here.
Oh, for real.
I'm not gonna lie, I did start on my package
Uh-huh.
and
Okay,
stuff.
okay.
Um,
One foot in,
I don't
one
know.
foot
The
out.
CEO says he wants me to do it, but I don't know. I'm still kind of iffy. I don't have no problem with the fleet
Yeah.
because I have a daughter, so that's the only reason why I don't want to go back to the fleet. But I'm
Yeah.
okay with going back to the fleet. I actually like the fleet. I like going on deployments and stuff like that. It don't really bother me. But yeah, I mean, I can say the same sentiment that I do enjoy seeing the little things that I feel like, oh, I just did paperwork or I just had a conversation with you or whatever. And then they're like thanking me and the family's thanking me and stuff. It feels good. Like that's something that money can't buy. And so I really do appreciate that. And I like getting the pictures and the videos after boot camp or A Sport. Them telling me they got promoted and saying thank you. And sometimes I can't even put everybody in the Navy. Can't lie.
Wow.
But I'll send them to another branch, so the Navy might say no, and I'll send them to a recruiter that I know is good in another branch. I'm like, hey, I got this person, like they really want to join the military, and here they go. Like I just had somebody, he shipped like 2 days ago for the Army, but he had tried to get in the Navy for like 9 months.
Really?
Like it was a whole process with him, and I was so sad he couldn't get in, but I had called her and she made it happen for the Army for him, and then he texted me like right before he left and was like, thank you for helping me. and
Because
stuff like that.
I would
So,
think like in this day and age with so many quote unquote easy ways to make money, you know, like internet influencers. I can just start my YouTube or whatever, flipping sneakers and everything. Like it would be difficult for y'all to pull people in the Navy at this point. But is it that way, or is it, you know, they
Not
like you
for
said,
me.
you pushing people away and I can't get everybody in.
yeah, I can't get everybody. I'm gonna try.
Right.
I'm gonna try.
Right.
Trust me, I'm gonna try. But no, it's easier for me. I would say I haven't had a hard tour. Like, I've been putting people in since the first month I got in. Like, I've been putting people in constantly. It's not hard for me. I think it's the area that I'm in, so it's easier for me to relate.
Really? Okay.
And I talk to everybody. I put a mom and a son in on the same day.
Hold on.
Yeah, I'm not trying to get cocky, but I'm not good. I'm not good. Like,
A mom and a son.
I'm not
Yeah,
good.
that's a point special.
Yeah.
We
I
can't just
did.
zoom over that.
I put a mom and a son.
I know it's gonna eat every time because everybody gets surprised when I
Yeah.
say it.
Mom
But
and son.
mom and son.
Oh,
Mom and son. I got pictures and stuff. I still talk to them.
okay. What was the rates? How did this
Okay.
happen?
So funny. It was a lieutenant.
Crazy.
He called me. I don't know, somebody gave him my number or something. He had called me and was like, his cousin was trying to join out of North Carolina and couldn't get in for whatever reason. I was like, cool, give me their number. I got you. They called me. They was like, we're going to be in Virginia in like a week. And then we're going to talk. I was like, cool, we're going to set up an appointment. Cool. He comes to the office. I was trying to see what was going on. I think it was his ASVAB or something. So he took a practice test, and his mom was with him. And I was like, how old are you? And she was like, I'm 39. I was like, have you ever thought about joining? And she was like, girl, no, I'm too old. I was like, no, you're not. And she was like, I don't know. I was like, okay, take the practice test. Let's just see. So he got on the practice test, and then she got on. And I was like, look.
How old was his son?
He's he just turned 20, and she just turned 40. But at the time, he was 19. She took the practice test and stuff too, and then I was just like asking them like regular questions. We started having regular conversation, and she was telling me about their lives and stuff like that. Anyway, she was like a house mom for like a long time,
Yeah.
and she had just been divorced and stuff like that. So
okay.
she was trying to get a new footing.
Mhm.
But she, I was like, maybe this is God's plan, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, that's the Lord, you know?
Right,
That's what the Lord.
right.
So I was like, hey, try it, you know? So then they did what they had to do. They went up there, they scored really good. He picked ABF, and she wanted to do something administration.
Mm.
So she got yeoman, and
Okay.
they've been doing good. They even graduated on the same day.
Wow.
Yeah, that's
That's a
RTC.
story there.
That's crazy. I got pictures on Instagram.
That's a
So that's
story.
crazy.
Like,
But yeah.
what they call it, sister group, sister boot camp group,
Buddy
brother,
system.
sister.
Buddy
Buddy
says
system.
so.
Buddy
But
system.
it wasn't even supposed to be like that because he
Yeah.
ended up going to boot camp a week before her, and then she went, and then he ended up getting held back for something, and they ended up graduating on
Graduating
the
on
same
time.
day.
Like, how that work in there? Like,
Yeah.
I need to call my mom, but she next door.
She said the RDCs let them see each other because she ended up telling them that he was there too.
Wow.
Yeah. It
That was good.
Yeah.
That's
That was
really
But
good.
you know, that's that new change with the 17 to 42. So
Yeah.
that was my
yeah.
next question. Like, okay, what is the age limit?
a
Like,
lot has changed.
A lot has
so what is the age limit?
17 to 42.
42.
Wow.
Yeah.
It used to be 30 something.
Yeah,
That-
yeah.
that
Like
changed
early
a lot.
30 something.
Yeah. ASVAB scores of
Yeah.
so much tattoos, everything.
You got to get them in. You had to conform because, like, you seen a minimum amount of people in my era with beards. You know, now I see guys with beards. Like, it's the norm.
And you,
And you can't ask them for
It's the norm.
anything. You cannot ask
I think
them.
it's cool. They should have
You
been
can't
done
be
that.
like, I need proof. Nope.
Yeah.
yeah. But you asked
know.
the question, you said, how do we get them in with that? And I always tell people, you know, a dream or a passion with no way to fund it. What we talking about, a hobby? Because you need a way to fund it. So maybe look at the reserve. Active duty is not for everybody. That's 1 week in a month, 2 weeks out the year. Now you have some income coming in to support that. Because other than that, we just speaking hypothetically. Like,
Yeah.
so
A lot of people join the reserve too.
Sometimes yes, because you know
Yeah.
active's not for everybody. Now, actives are numbers, and you know a lot of people are gonna push that. But I
Right.
like to hear what someone has going on. Maybe reserve's a better fit for you, and in 2 years you can go active if life's not panning out for you. So we've had those like for college students and things like that.
Okay. When you were doing recruiting, you was officer recruiting, right?
Mm-hmm. I ran the station too, so division. So
Yeah.
I'm familiar with everything they're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was it hard to get officers in?
Program dependent. So, you need, the minimums. You got to take the ASTB, the OAR. A lot of people wanted to do a myriad of jobs. Nobody wanted the surface jobs, but it was aviation,
That's what they wanted to do, fly
Oh,
planes.
yeah. People that's coming is, I want to do aviation. They got that in their head. I need the medical service programs and all of those things. So it's different processes. There's different incentives for each program. Some are way more, I think all of them are competitive now. I would imagine. So everybody has a degree, so people try to take that route. But I think the thing that remains the same is we got to get back to being our authentic selves. That's what the attracting thing.
Yeah.
Because I'm just hearing you guys' story, and it's been a decade. Well, yeah, it's been some time since I've been recruiting, but the story's the same, and I'm seeing you guys in full color. Like, I'm actually just hyped and proud because I'm watching y'all, and then like to have you recruiting in my hometown, and I know the demographic, and I know how attractive they would be to somebody like you. It's this misconception that if you look a certain way, you don't take care of business, but you are the epitome of that. And they need to see more of that. That inclusion is a hell of a drug. That's the that's the dope rush. So the success that you're having, that means you're walking in purpose. Like when God is on you, like the things that are happening to you are beyond your wildest dreams.
I just did my makeup.
I'm being real.
Now
I'm
he's
being,
speaking. This is him.
being
This is
real.
him.
So no, that
Yeah.
when it's coming to you that easy, it's because you are doing what you're supposed to do. So keep going, and like I said, I'm rocking with you. We gonna make some stuff shake.
Appreciate
Now
it.
you better believe it. He
I believe it.
Yeah, he coming.
I believe it.
Yeah, he knocking on the door.
All right.
Yeah, he knocking on the door. So we got people bringing them in, trying to keep them in. What about the ones who did their time? That's going to be y'all as well, especially the ones at 17 years. What are you going to be like, okay, if I retire at 20 or whatever, 22, 25, what's y'all plans? Do you see that? Do you speak about that? Do you think about that? And you got some time, but you got to think about it. Because no matter what, you do 38 years, you can do 40 years, you got to go home.
Yeah.
you know, you got to go home. So what's the plan? Are you even thinking about that?
It's funny because every day we talk to people as a job about what they want to do, and then it's hindsight when you're like, "Oh wait, I'm talking to you about what you're doing. What am I gonna do?
What you gonna do?
And I always admire people that know their purpose or passion and actively pursue it. Because I feel like the majority of us spend our whole life trying to figure out what do I want to do, what am I good at, and it's like it's cool while you're in, but like you said, when you're getting day 839, which is what I'm on, when you get to that come to Jesus moment, I see a lot of people get out and it's like, oh, it's happening, you know, after that check, waiting on that, you know, retirement to clear, and you sitting at home just you and yourself, and it's like, so I have unrealistic goals, but I'm going to make them realistic. My mom's like, what about government job? I'm like, no, I've done that. I want to do what I want to do. So I feel like recruiting is like a high, like what they say on Paid in Full. I love the hustle. So I want to do like luxury car sales or maybe work in high-end fashions, retail. So that's what I want to do.
Okay.
Something fun.
Something fun. What about you?
That's funny. One of my mentors, she's actually a career recruiter as well, and that's what she's doing. So she actually her retirement ceremony is in October, but she's on her terminal. She's doing her big skill bridge with a real estate company. So it's funny because I sat down with her. She came down here a couple weeks ago, and that was her big thing. She's like, for me, because she asked, she's like, what are you doing, Minnie? I was like, I don't know what I want to be when I grow up yet. And it's funny because like you said, we push these people, like we push everybody to kind of like, you know, your goals, think about the future. And then when it comes to us, we like, sitting there with the crickets going in the back. But she did kind of break it down to me. She's like, you have to find something that makes you feel as fulfilled as you do now, but also be different. Don't be afraid to step out of your box.
Right.
And that's what she's doing. She's like, she loves the high. She loves recruiting. So she's like, she's like, I'm a seller. She's like, what I do, she's like, I enjoy making people happy. So she's about to go sell houses. And for me, I'm like, I like helping people too. But I don't like blood. So I was like, I don't want to go to healthcare. Because I'm squeamish. I got kids. And even then, sometimes I'm like, y'all got to go to your daddy. But for me, I'm all about helping. So I'm actually working on my degree for human resources right now. So ultimately, like, I do want to kind of take a step back. And I noticed this going from shift duty to shore duty. Like, that time, it dwindles down so fast. And then you're just left. And you're like, what do I do in my time now? So I kind of do want to incorporate that to kind of, like, give me more time so I could be with my family and, like, play like that family part, you know, because I feel like I missed out on a lot. So for me, like, once I get out, like, and I think I might get out at like 23, but even then right now, like, you know, goals change. But I think once I'm done with my degree, I think I'm going to start looking, unfortunately, the government jobs.
They out there.
They out there. And for me, I'm like, you know what, if I'm able to get it, like, I'm going to go get it. So
you got options. But just don't sell yourself short. Because
and
the information that you're giving to so many people, you got to listen to what you're speaking about.
I push out so much information for everybody. And like I do, because I deal a lot with retirements. That's my big bread and butter. So every time someone comes, they're like, I'm done. I want to get it over. I'm like, let's do it. Let's look at SkillBridge. Let's look at your VR&E. Let's look at what other programs are available that the VA offers. Have you looked into doing like online or hybrid courses to help you get like to where you need to get to? Like I'm a big advocate for other people, and I think what happens with our kind of job is we forget to advocate for ourselves. So I'm like, that's where like my fear comes in. But I think I got a plan.
You got it.
But I think the beauty of it is, like you say, that once we're done, we still have income coming in. So I read a meme that said joining the military is a cheat code, and I couldn't agree more, because now I got an income, I can go support those hobbies, passions, whatever I want to do. The Navy, you're able to obtain one certification. So I did my pharmacy tech. So I'm like, well, I can go sell pharmaceutical drugs legally if I want to do, you know, something like that. Or you finish your degree through the Navy. So it's so many opportunities we have. It sets you really up for success on the back end.
SkillBridge, everybody. Oh, go ahead.
What about you and your plan?
Oh, I didn't know we was talking about me.
I know you got some years, but you still got to think about it.
Well,
though.
I don't know, because I got a house and stuff. I was thinking about getting out. I'm kind of different. I invested my money early. So I have a good chunk of change on the side, and I still invest in stocks and in crypto and stuff. So I'm more so looking for something that gratifies me spiritually more than anything. I feel like I'm at financially where I want to be, or where I feel like I need to be. If I was to get out today, I feel like I would do fine. I'm looking for something more than what the world can offer me. I'm looking for my next purpose. So I don't really have a true answer of what I would do when I would get out per se.
Right,
I
right.
do know I want to do like a nonprofit. Like my family does. My aunt, she's from Jersey, and she does a nonprofit for sex trafficking children. And I wanted to get into something because every year around Christmas, I do Money's a Blessing. And I just have people, even some of my sailors, they'll donate or whatever, and we'll donate to some moms that need help with Christmas and stuff like that. And I wanted to make that into something bigger.
Yeah.
So that's something that I would probably
He
get
definitely
into.
come to get you. He over there shaking his head like he really. He want to
That's
bring
me.
you.
I want to
be like you when I grow
That's
up.
me. You want
to be like you when I
That's
grow
me.
up.
I'm really a server. Like,
Yeah.
I really like to
Yeah.
help people. I'm really big on that. So I think that's why recruiting comes so easy to me
Right.
because I actually care. When some people come recruiting, they hate the job because that's just
Really?
not their purpose. Oh, absolutely. It's a lot of sailors
Yeah.
because one they're used to recruiting is independent duty, and people are not used to that when you come straight from the fleet. And you're used to people telling you where to go, when to do it, watch the stand, all that
Right,
stuff.
right,
And then
right.
here it's like, no, you're on your own, but you better get this job done.
Right.
And a lot of people can't conform to that, so then they end up, really not
So they
liking
really
the
treat you
job.
like an adult.
Yeah,
Like,
really,
You're an
really.
adult. I told you what we need
Really.
for this month.
Right,
Go make it happen. You trained to do it. Go make it
Right.
happen.
So
Let me
ask
dive
you
into that
this,
real quick,
right?
Ty. You say like an adult.
Yeah.
We use the term adult, and we expect people to not. And I'm not beating you up, but I'm just talking about generally speaking. When we say adult, we expect people to have it figured out
Right.
because you reach a certain age or a certain expectation is imposed. But a lot of adults don't know what's going on, and so now the Navy it creates the system, and this is where I'm appreciative of the Navy because it has shown me a lot to where when I was able to step out and be this adult, running a business, being a nonprofit, and doing all this, I had some structure.
Yeah.
And now it
Yeah.
showed me how to do
But you
something.
got that built you being in there.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Just
Yeah.
understand the hierarchy and chain of command and why it's this SOPs. All this is important. A lot of people outside of the Navy and military installations, they don't get that experience.
No.
So they just push it along and days are going by. And we look at, and they 39 years old, and we're like, you should have it figured out by now.
Right.
You're an
right.
adult.
Right.
And it's like they don't
Yeah.
have the same experience. So this
Yeah.
is another one of those.
And that's true.
recruiting-
Because I've been experienced a lot of different things
Yeah.
to excel me. You know.
is a part of the
Yeah.
it's through osmosis because we in proximity with
Of
all
each
of this
other.
stuff, and this is
Yeah.
our normal.
Yeah.
And the military is a drop in a bucket when we talk about the population. A lot of people don't get to witness this, and so that's why we special, and that's why we got work to do. So when you talk about purpose, all the seeds being put in you right now, and now the proximity. It's a lot of things we gonna move, and I'm gonna just jump off right there.
He love this.
My
He love it.
question is, you said you came in the Navy, investing and stuff like that or whatever. Like, what made you do that? Because I don't hear that at all.
So I didn't come in initially like that. I was running from a situation when I was in Jersey. I had a crazy ex-boyfriend tried to kill me type stuff.
Oh, wow.
So that's why I said my recruiter saved my life. Because I ended up moving with my brother who was in the Navy. So my brother, my mom, and my dad, they all served. My brother was stationed in San Diego, so I moved with him. And he took me to the recruiting office, and I met my recruiter, and life happened like that. After that, I want to say I had got pregnant my second year in the Navy, third year in the Navy. And then having my daughter made me look at life in a different way. So I started saving my money and then talking to people that I had a great mentorship. He just retired, MMC Rabin, shout out to you. He was teaching me how to start saving my money because I was like, man, retirement's a long way from here. And I need me a house, and I don't want to just depend on the VA home loan because a lot of folks don't know that you still have to put down a closing costs and stuff like that, depending on the seller and the realtor and like what y'all negotiated. And so I'm like, I need some real money, and I need some liquid money, and then I need to invest my money. And so my mentor was teaching me that. Shout out to you again. Teaching me how to go about like life that way, and I started reading books and stuff like that. So I just started taking my financial life more serious. Because living paycheck to paycheck, it just don't do it. And it ain't gonna shake for me, and it wasn't gonna shake for my daughter, especially not from a situation that I came from. I had nothing, and I didn't want to go back to nothing. So I needed to make some changes within myself and my financial self to get the job done.
So, and do you do that with your people that you bring in and recruit, kind of
I do tell
try
them
to
to
set them
save.
up for success?
So I don't do that initially, I'm not gonna lie. But I do tell them to save because they get a lot of money when they join it. Especially you know, you 18 years old, the Navy giving you a $75,000 bonus just to be a nuke. What?
Yeah.
Like,
A walk
you
in the
need
door.
to save your money and you need
Yeah.
to make smart financial decisions. I do try to tell my recruits, like, listen, it's gonna be friends, it's gonna be family, it's gonna be
Yeah.
people that's thinking that you're rich. You will be broke.
Yeah.
You give them all of your money. I had a girl, she was maybe like the third person I ever put in the Navy. She got orders to Japan, and she came to do duty with me. Yeah, to do duty with me. And I was like, hey, how's everything going? She was like, girl, when we get paid again? I said, girl, what? She was like,
Yeah.
I blew all my money. Da, da, da. And I'm like, yeah, that's not how it's going to shake. So I was telling her, like, how to save money and stuff like that. But a lot of kids don't know. And I think that's something that the mentors in the fleet and stuff should actually start instilling. Like, not just work, because we with y'all more than we with our family.
Yeah.
And so to have that balance and to know, like, hey, this is what you're supposed to be doing. Like, I mean, you grown, you're an adult, but like, let's keep it real. Let's not just talk about retirement. Retirement
Right.
seems like a long way away. Heck, you might die before you reach retirement.
Yeah.
We don't know. So live in that moment right now and try to get your situation together. So I definitely think that's something, and maybe I should start incorporating that. I'm glad you brought that up. And telling the people that I'm putting in, like, it's better things and better ways to do with your money. Buying the nicest car out here ain't gonna do nothing but depreciate.
Hey, it'll help us
So-
if y'all did. If
I
y'all
think
start,
that's
if
it,
y'all
though.
start,
They're
they come
starting
in.
Is starting to
Yeah.
incorporate some financial pieces
Yeah.
there, but
Yeah.
that same 18-year-old, you're giving $75,000
Right.
is going to Dubai when he joins.
Right.
So it's tough because
Right.
even when I'm looking
Wow.
at our delayed entry program, I have 15 future sailors, and I told them, like, it's easily a little over $500,000 sitting in front of me, and that is mind blowing because I got $4,000 when I joined.
I get
And
that.
I feel
I didn't get that either.
But yes, I know they're trying to incorporate that now in basic. And I always tell people one of my favorite things about the military, the money's gonna be there, but the places you go and the people you meet are my favorite things because, like you say, it's family. Not only that, the plethora of knowledge you get from those individuals. Like even in our division, we got, you know, people that got farms, you know, farm
Yeah.
and homesteaders, like
Yeah.
a few of them. I met someone who's working on their second million in thrift savings plan. So just meeting and those that invest. So it's so much knowledge amongst each other, just that networking, like, hey, how do I get into this? Or what did you do to
Right.
obtain this? So the resources are there, but like you said, being in the right company, the right rooms, and, you know.
Makes a difference.
And it does, and it impacts like the financial literacy part. It's important. I've seen sailors. Actually, I had a sailor on my first ship as a career counselor. I didn't know what buyouts was. So I learned things every day from different people. But he was one of those sailors who he made it big off of crypto, and he hit like he had money, and I was like, oh, okay. But his biggest thing, and unfortunately, like, this was around the time where the COVID vaccine was coming out. So he looked at it. He's like, oh, that's my out. Because it's almost like you can't. Yeah, you got bags. I was like, but you cannot buy out your contract. I was like, that's not what it's about. I was like, you made a commitment. I was like, yes, it might not be what you want right now. I was like, but if you can't follow through with this commitment, I was like, what else aren't you going to follow through with? And his whole thing was, oh, SC1, I got plans. I have these businesses lined up. I was like, okay, but you can't. I was like, but what does that tell me if you can't commit to this business right here?
Yeah.
I was like, this business that helped you create those other businesses. And unfortunately, he, and I don't, like, he was a good kid. He really was. But unfortunately, like, his mindset kind of, it affected the other sailors as well. So yes, I do,
Because
like,
he wanted to get out.
because he just wanted to get
wanted
out,
to
and
get
he had
out.
this, he brought this negativity with him. Now, I will say he did bring a form of positivity with him because he did show people in his division. He showed people on the ship. He helped me out. He was like, you know, and so you gotta be smart with your investments. I'm like, ooh, show me. So he
Right.
did help people with investments, but it was one of those things where he was just so eager and thirsty. He's like, I'm too big for this. Like, this is beneath me type deal. And then he took the out when they started doing the vaccine separations. And a year later, he ran through his money. It was one of those things where his people were like, oh, you're rich. Let me borrow this. Let me hold this. And within that year, broke. And he reached out to me not too long ago. He was like, hey, can I rejoin with my RE code? I was like, did you get the vaccine? He was like, yeah, I got it. I was like, all right. So I set him up with one of my friends who's a recruiter. And it was one of those things, but I'm like, people take that financial literacy portion so for granted. And that's one of the big things that I push when sailors come in. I'm like, you're getting out? What's your budget look like? Like, I have my own little budget spreadsheet on my desktop. and I sit down with as many people as I can. And I'm like, these are things you have to account for. I was like, yeah, the Navy, I was like, you might not like it right now. I was like, but how does your, like, you like that healthcare? Yeah, it's TRICARE. I was like, but you can still go get Tylenol. You ain't got to pay for it. You can go to the doctor. You ain't got to pay for it. I was like, yeah, you're paying
those
with
benefits
it.
mean
I was
something.
like, those benefits mean a lot. And that's one of the biggest pushes that I have to do when I keep people in. Because I'm like, look, you're not going to have this outside. And one of my biggest stories that I tell is like my brother. So, bless my brother because he actually held me down because me and my husband were dual mill. So when I was on deployment, my husband was still doing his thing and he was still going T80. He was still going here. So my brother held it down, but he got sick. And I was like, his medical bills were ridiculous. He had insurance. And I was like, imagine if something like this happens to you. And then I have those sailors who are like, I'm on edge. I don't know if I want to stand. All right, well, let's look at our checks and balances. Like how do you, can you provide this with your family? And that's also a biggest push. Is like, I get these sailors who like, I'm tired of being away from my family. I'm tired of, okay. And my, like all the time, anytime I get somebody who's like a non-medical separation, I'm like, all right, what about reservists?
Yeah, okay.
Like I push the reserve so big. I'm like, y'all don't understand. I was like, reservist is like, it can help. It helps.
Right.
It means something. Yes. Because again, active duty might not be for everybody, but reservists might.
Okay.
And I like them realistic conversations with not only current sailors, but even the ones coming in. We're in the second highest decade of inflation. Like, be for real. So it's also, this is full circle of networking because what happened, the ones who get out like him, they come right knocking at our door like, hey, how do I get back in? And then we're looking at RE codes and how to put them back in. And again, had they really looked at it a little differently.
And like we can make miracles happen, but we're not magicians. We can't make magic happen. So
Please say that again to the people in the back.
because everybody
We understand.
that's one of the things, and like everybody always are like, oh, it's like we got like magic, but like we didn't go to Hogwarts. So and it's one of those things that like, oh, NC1 got it. Like I might be able to make a few miracles happen, but like,
I mean, but how often do y'all see the retreads, people that done got out and trying to come back in because they didn't think it was so, the grass ain't so much greener?
Very often.
yeah.
Really?
Wow.
Very often.
100%.
Really?
I've seen that actually with we were just talking about this with Captain Days. She was prior service. She came back in, and a lot of people didn't know that. And I was like, oh my god. And I was like, man, yeah, she was in the Army, and that was one of her biggest
didn't know
things. Yeah, she is like, she's very much for. She's like all about the sailors. Like hands down, one of my favorite and best CEOs I've ever had because she's all about like, you know, we learn from our mistakes and we try to progress from there. But I tell people that, and I've seen retirees come in who are they're like, all right, I'm getting ready for the big one. I'm like, all right, well, let's look. And they don't understand, like, yeah, you came in, but you got out, you got a gap in service. So you're not retiring when you think you're going to retire now.
Yeah.
I was like, because I got to go based off that pay date. And they like, and they looking at me and I'm just looking at them. I was like, I didn't do it. Don't be mad at me.
Wow.
Yeah, you gotta do 2 more years, man.
Yeah. I'm like, I'm sorry. I had a chief do that. He was just like, all right, I'm ready. And see, when I was like, all right, let's do it, you know, I'm typing it in and I'm like, oh. I was like, so you want the good news or the bad news first? He's like, what you mean bad news? I was like, it's always some bad news. And he's like, come on. He's like, we can't make this work. We can't make, I'm like, I don't network with people. It's like the networking that we do isn't for favors like that.
Right.
I was like, there are things we can change. There are things where there's where there's a will, there is a waiver.
Right.
I am a firm believer that
I'm going to use that.
Where there's a will, there's a waiver.
where there is a will, there is a
Okay.
waiver.
Right.
And
Trademark.
but some things like we can't adjust. And one of those things is like that pay date, that date. And I looked, I was like, I'm so sorry.
That
I
makes
was
a
like-
difference.
And it does because he was in his window for negotiation. So that meant he had to go to one of them big grade things. And he was like, don't do this to me. I was like, I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Talk to your detailer.
Wow.
Crazy.
But yeah, it's one of those things like people, when they get out, they're under this thing. They're like, all right, I'm done. It's over. And then they get there and they're like, this isn't what it is. I've had friends who got out and they're like, don't do it. I'm a contract by contract sailor.
Me too.
Yeah.
I made
What
it
that
here.
mean?
I made
Contract by
it.
contract.
That means I made it here accidentally by the will of God. So that means every contract I was like, all right, this is the last one. This is the last one, and then the next one comes up, and I'm like, here I am again.
Let me see how I'm feeling.
Yeah.
Really?
Like, I'm like, I'm gonna give you 4 years.
Yeah, I
so
think that's everybody.
but
I'm going to do their big one at them.
yes, but I've had sailors who are just like, they just like, this is what I want, this is what I'm gonna do. But then a lot of times they can't make it. But then I have those sailors who are like, nah, I do it real quick. And I'm like, okay, real quick.
Because it wasn't, for me, I don't think I committed to this thing until I was like 10 years, 10 or 12. And that's when I was like, okay, the Navy's just gonna have to kick me out. But prior to that, you know, I'm like,
You just like whatever.
yeah, it was just like, okay, because I was the sailor who was going to school, getting the certs, and doing everything. And I'm
Right.
like, you know, all right, I'm, you know, AB, I'm finna get out, go work for this fire department. You know, I'm finna do this government thing.
Right.
And, you know, I got a twin brother, and I used to call him like, look, man, I'm about to, he's like, man, you better stay where you at.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So it wasn't
It's
until
real
I-
out here.
Yeah.
It's
is.
real. So I'll give my story real quick. So I did 13. I went over that halfway point. And yeah, so it's like, oh, you made it this far, so you may as well just
Seven
finish, right?
more.
Seven
right?
more.
Seven more.
That's how I kind of get people too. I'm like, come on, you made it this far. What's another
Seven
little bit?
more.
What's another
And it
little bit?
sounds, I mean, like I understand, you know, for some people, like, I'm gonna go ahead and thug it out. I'm gonna go ahead and get this done. But for me, it was like, man, I had the experience. Shout out to recruiting, who set me up for my next leg of life. People, proximity, being around people who are doing the things that I want to do, and having that example to be able to lean on it. So it's all about pretty much orchestrating a plan. And putting yourself in position. So like, if you understand biblical stuff, King Solomon, and like seeking wise counsel in all you do.
Yeah.
I think a lot of times people are moving on their own understanding, and they don't really have any experience of what the other side looks like. So when they jump out there and they face that adversity, like, cause you're gonna go through something in anything you do in life. It's just not gonna be smooth sailing. So the first time they hit that bump, it's like, I don't know what to do. I want to go back. And that's like that first test. That's like when you walk in this long, hard road, and when you come across the devil, that means y'all going in different directions. But if you never meet him, that means y'all walking the same way. So when you run into that adversity, just know, hey, I'm doing something, and I got to get through this. But a lot of people get there and just like, this ain't what I thought it is, and they run the other way. Run to that adversity. Thank God for the opportunity. This challenge is meant to strengthen you. That's what stress does for everything. If you understand stress is a strengthening mechanism. So I'm not saying that to sway anybody either way, but I want to say, like, believe in yourself. It starts there, but it's not just this empty, I'm going to do this. It's like, no, it's going to come with some work. It's going to come with some work. And this, again, leaning on that family aspect. Like, who do you have in your corner? Who can you have counsel with to kind of push you in the right direction? And if I don't have the answer, I got resources. And if I don't have, they don't have it, their resources got resources. We need to create those networks. So bringing it back to this whole wide Navy thing, coming from where I come from, people have great hearts and great intentions, but no experience. And they can't teach me anything. It's for me to be able to get this information and bring it back to them. Somebody got to be courageous. Somebody got to step outside the norm and do it. I feel like God has prepared me and prepared all of us to be able to do that. So, again, I like getting on these deep little.
No. You know, I love to talk.
For me,
I love to
it's
talk.
just like, I think people are afraid to speak what they want to do.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And our culture and the climate is just like, don't say nothing. You know what I'm
Because it's
saying?
gonna fail.
You know, exactly, right?
It's gonna fail.
But when you start speaking what you want to do, you never know who knows somebody and everything like that, you know. But we so used to, like, don't tell nobody what you're doing. Don't tell
Moving
your left hand
silent.
what your
Yeah,
right
moving
hand doing. But
silent.
I'm ambidextrous. I can use both. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's just like, forget all that. You know, I'm speaking into existence.
You got to.
know what I'm saying? I'm going to let it manifest.
Got
Because
to.
you don't never know who's listening. You know, and that's what I tell sailors too, even when it comes to advancement. You know, like, let it be known, you know, like, hey, I want to advance. I want to make chief. I want to do whatever, right? And like you said, know that, okay, somebody's going to listen and someone's going to challenge you to see if you really about what you're talking about. And if you're not, you was just running your mouth. You know what I'm saying? Because I tell them, soon as they come in the door, when they sit down with me, okay, what you trying to do? What you trying to be? Okay, I'm just letting you know right now, I'm going to test you. You know what I'm saying? I mean, Chief Creed, it says that. You know what I'm saying? On this day, you know, what we put before you, it was on purpose, right? So I'm like, you going to get that. You know what I'm saying? I'm just prepping you.
Yeah.
You know, and again, that's just not with Navy, that's in life, what you're talking about. You know what I'm saying?
Word.
You got to speak it into existence. You got to keep talking about it. You know, I might see somebody down the street and let me get your information. It ain't for me, it's for somebody else. You know, that I heard like, hey man, you was interested in this. You know what I'm saying? This is somebody I spoke to, talked to. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, you got to be able to speak it, but a lot of people be afraid.
That frequency, that's energy. That's a whole other conversation. But yeah, the way it resonate and it land on you is real. And if you don't profess it, it ain't gonna happen.
Right.
You can keep on letting those dreams swirl inside your head,
That's it.
and you're gonna die with a full clip.
Yeah.
And you're gonna be on your deathbed wishing I woulda, coulda, shoulda.
That's it.
When
That's
you
it.
can just really move how you want to move. We are that powerful of people,
Absolutely.
and we that much stronger when we start working together. So, giving people the encouragement to be able to start voicing your dreams,
That's it.
because I don't know, it's in our culture, it's in the music now. It's a larger scale game being played to perpetuate something that is a false reality. Oh, no new friends. I'm the only one to get this done. Like self. Back to this Navy thing. It's nothing like it. People in these corporate jobs, we speaking on Amazon. This ain't an Amazon slam session, but one of my good friends is lonely. He lonely. He just moved here from Tennessee, worked up to the corporate ladder, got a real good job, real pay. But he just coming in here, he like, man, I like what y'all building in here. This feel good. Where can I get in over here? And I'm like, bro, I can't pay you what they paying you.
Right.
But he's just like, no, it ain't even about that. It's about like, I feel like I'm valued here. Like I can bring something. We can grow something. And it's like looking down the line of what can I do for the team to contribute to make us better. When we start thinking like that, then we can move with some real power. But right now they got us in these silos, this individual mindset. So once we start getting outside of ourselves by letting that dream come outside your mouth, profess it so that other people can hear it, then that frequency gonna start changing everything.
Hey, the leaders have spoken. The leaders have spoken. Thanks for coming out. Thanks for the talk. Thanks for the encouragement. Thanks for sharing the stories of battle. You know, especially as women with like mothers.
Yeah.
It's hard. It's hard. But again, thank y'all for coming out. And keep doing what y'all do. The Navy appreciates you. The community appreciates you. And I appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you.